Are you swimming with the sharks? Now, at the moment I'm going through 2 audiobooks of Russell Brunson's. I'm going through the Expert Secrets one and the Traffic Secrets one. I'll probably get the .com secret one as well too, because I think they all kind of gel each other and they kind of spring off each other. So I'll probably get the 3 of them to have the whole kind of idea. So if I do mention Russell Brunson in a couple of these episodes, it's only because I'm finding nuggets of wisdom in that audiobook and I want to pass them on to you. But again, if you want to find probably more of the details, go ahead and download his audiobooks or buy his books in the Kindle store and go through them all. Now, one of the things he mentions in his book series, I think it was the Expert book series, was that about a blue ocean strategy. Now, what he meant by that was, if you imagine a coffee shop moved into town today, maybe in your local town, and there was no other coffee shops in your town, they would have 100% of the custom in that town because they're not competing with anybody. But you will find over time, people in the area will probably say to themselves, well, wow, how much money are they charging for coffee? I could make coffee cheaper than that. And you will find them, they will probably go ahead and they will set up their own coffee shop. Even in my local shopping centre, unfortunately, at the moment, a lot of them are being affected by the coronavirus. And again, a lot of them are being affected also by people buying online and people buying stuff on Amazon. And a lot of these small stores are closing. But what's replacing them is coffee shops. Now, in one of the local, shopping centres, there's actually 2 major ones down here, there's probably at least 4 or 5 coffee shops in each one, all competing with each other and all competing for the same customers. So, as I said, when you have a blue ocean, you have the vast 100% of the market to yourself. But you will find then, over time, other people will come in, sharks will come in, and they will all start fighting among each other for that business. And then, as Russell says, that goes from a blue ocean to a red ocean. Now, in a red ocean, you will find some people are king or queen of that category. So, if you go to maybe the Kindle store, an example, and if maybe you go to the children's market and children's fiction, you will probably find that J.K. Rowling is probably one of the category queens in that market and is probably hoovering up probably 70 or 80% of the income there from her books. Now, you will find as well there are a lot of people below her who are like sharks, all fighting for the 20 or 30%. Now again, it doesn't have to be in the children's book market. It could be in blogging, it could be in YouTube, if that's where you're targeting or that's what you're going after. You will find there are some category kings and queens in YouTube or in blogging who are getting maybe 60, 70, 80% of the traffic, and everyone else, all the other smaller blogs, are all competing with each other, and they're just kind of fighting over breadcrumbs. So as Russell says, if you are somebody who maybe isn't the king or queen of your category and you haven't got a blue ocean and you're finding that it's turned into a red ocean, it's up to you then to go and look for more blue oceans. Try and find some spot of the beach or some part of the ocean that nobody has come upon yet and set up shop there. Now, the only thing about doing that is you will find over time, when you do maybe find your own little blue ocean, you will find a couple of sharks will probably follow you over. Now, they'll follow you over easily because they'll probably see the content you're producing. There's that much research software nowadays. You can do tons of research on the internet or in markets, and you can see where the money is going to, and people can follow you that way. So it's not even that you can find a blue ocean and kind of close it off to yourself. It will happen over time. Some people will follow you over. Some people will find you with research tools, Google or whatever, and you will find your competition getting busier, and the water over time will start getting a little pinker, and again it'll turn into another red ocean. So what can you do? How can you stop your little blue ocean becoming a red ocean? Now, one of the things Russell said you should think about doing is creating a category for yourself. Now, what he meant by that was create a category where you are the king or the queen over it, and you are the person who is kind of putting a flag in the ground and claiming that territory for yourself, and everybody that comes in after you then is just a copycat and is someone who is going to be fighting over the scraps that are kind of falling from your table. So if we think about it, somebody who maybe is targeting a good niche is probably at the moment is Ben Settle. Now, Ben Settle probably could have got into, if you don't know Ben Settle, I highly recommend you do a Google search on him. But Ben started off being a copywriter, and a well-known and well-paid copywriter. But again, like most copywriters, he was probably competing with everybody else. It was probably a red ocean he was in, so he knew he had to get into a blue ocean. So what he did was he niched down, and he niched out into email, and he became an expert in email. So if you probably type into Google email experts, you will probably find that Ben is one of the people that everybody recommends, because he is the expert in that niche, and that is his blue ocean. And anyone who does come into it is probably going to find that he is the category king, and they are going to be competing maybe for the 20, 30 or 40% of breadcrumbs that fall from his table. That's if they do fall from his table, and they are going to be competing with that, and they can't compete. So if you don't know anything about copywriting or marketing, what can you do in your case? Well, try and come up with creating a niche maybe that isn't being catered for. You know, you probably will find, if you do a search on Google, if you're into fiction, you'll probably find that maybe people are looking for characters that aren't, you know, mainstream. You know, probably when somebody's writing a fiction book, they're probably automatically going to think of, again, some people who are maybe starting fiction are probably going to go for the handsome man with the muscles and, you know, the beautiful hero or heroine who has big boobs, nice butt, lovely hair and all this different complexion. But that's not what some people are looking for. Some people are actually looking for something different. So you may find maybe that some of your market might be handicapped, and maybe they might be interested in reading about a main character who fights crime, who may be in a wheelchair, maybe somebody who is autistic, somebody who has some kind of thing that isn't mainstream, and maybe you could move into that niche. Maybe you could create your own blue ocean from that. Maybe you could have, you know, a detective who is autistic, and, you know, have your own little kind of category and write books with that character. Again, nobody's going to compete with you, because you are not writing the average, you know, detective novel about maybe somebody who maybe's dropped out of the army, again like a Jack Reacher kind of thing, who turns detective, or maybe some policeman who's turned PI. Your character is completely different, because your character is an autistic character. And what you can do is you can, you know, branch off from the main detective category with your little character. Or again, if maybe you are into low content books, rather than competing with everybody else in maybe the adult colouring book, break it down into maybe another category. Pardon me, I'm getting tongue twisted here. Yeah, break it down into another category that maybe isn't as competitive, where maybe you create colouring books for older people. So maybe you might have larger font, you might have thicker lines, or you might have some way you can make it easier for them, but you could target the elderly market and stick with that market. And again, once you will find that once you do kind of become the king and the queen of a particular category, it kind of leaks out into other categories, because you're standing out among everybody else. So think about that today, whatever you're doing. If you find yourself in a red ocean, you can compete with everybody else, you can fight with all those sharks, but when you think about it, you're only kind of competing for the 20 or 30% that is falling off the table of the category king and queen. And is that really worth your while doing, fighting with everybody else for just the scraps? Or wouldn't it be better for you maybe to come up with a blue ocean, or create some type of blue ocean that you are the only person in? And if you do find that maybe the sharks do come in at a later time, because you are the category king or queen, you are at the top of the hierarchy, and any crumbs falling from your table is what everybody else is going to be fighting over. But because you are the top of the hill, the top of the mountain, you are the person who can stand there, collect the majority of the money, and not have to worry about all the sharks below, because that is your blue ocean. And again, if you do find maybe if it does become too competitive, maybe kind of branch off, go into another market, or create another blue ocean, and then again see if you can stay at the category king or queen of that category for as long as you can and get the majority of money from it. So give that some thought today. If you are finding, like the coffee shops in my town, if everybody all of a sudden now is a coffee shop, is there any way you can become a category king and queen? Is there any way you can separate yourself from everybody else, get into, create your own niche or your own genre or whatever, and see how it goes, and keep testing it until you do create your own blue ocean. So as always, if you'd like to find out where these episodes are, or if you'd like to follow me, just do a search for WriteCome, WRITECOME.com. And as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today. Have a great day. Bye bye.